So last video we worked on getting Betty's exterior siding on her mobile home all painted up and looking easily 20 to 30 times better than what it did. Now we have to start working on all the finishes. Betty's already worked on getting the second coat of paint on the cap and then down here, and now she's doing some little touch-ups here and there on the main siding. Some of the things we still need to do is we need to paint the back door, paint the wood over the AC for the bedroom. We need to go ahead and cut down trim and paint it and put it all around the windows to kind of give it that finished look. And anything else that we kind of need to do to wrap up some of the little things on the outside before we can get back inside the home. So follow along as we start moving through. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on getting the back door and its trim all painted up. That way this is all out of the way for when we're ready to go ahead and paint the porch, because we're not 100% sure if we're going to pull the porch all the way out and paint it out there and then try to put it back, or if it's just going to be painted in place. We just know that this porch needs paint. So I want to get this back door out of the way first, especially before it gets too hot. And of course you're going to have to open it to do so, at least around these little edges. Let that dry, then we can close it and finish it. So I got a small little plastic tarp bag I'm going to use on the inside. We'll just go ahead and get that interior piece that comes right around all of the seal and get that painted up real quick so that we know we can get this door closed. So we're gonna move the porch out because my mom and Betty are gonna start working on painting this while we work on getting the trim cut down and prepared for its paint.
What are we doing?
Oh, my back.
This side's not moving. You got it stuck under the trim.
That.
There you go.
Glad my back's feeling better today. We're on a block.
Yeah. Are you on something?
Yeah, there's a block over here.
Yeah, so we're gonna go get the awning and get it set up so they're not standing in here under the sun, and then they're gonna get started getting some paint on here. You'll kind of recognize the color. We call it mix what we had left.
I'm calling it minty breath.
So to trim around Betty's windows, we opted to get flat SmartSide, no grooves. And we're just going to cut them into the strips. I do believe we're going 4-inch. So we'll have 4-inch trim going around the sides and bottom and several of the tops. And then several of the tops won't fit a 4-inch, so they're going to be smaller specifically per top. But we're going to cut this down ourselves because essentially this is the same stuff, made of the same material they do the SmartSide trim out of. So as long as we cut it all down and pre-paint everything, including the edges, we should be good for quite a while. This is actually on several of the homes here in the park, and I think it looks pretty good. So our first step is to literally start by breaking this first sheet down. So I'll give us a mark at our 4-inch. maybe even 2 of them. So I have a pretty rough idea of how I need to set this up. As long as we don't change this during the vast majority, all pieces should end up the exact same width. Plan is piece along the top, and it's going to be wider. The width of this top is going to be as wide as the sides. The sides will go under and come down, and they're going to come down to wherever this one stops. And then this piece under here, it's a simpler window trim and it should work just fine. We're going to put silicone sealant behind each one of these pieces of trim, kind of as a pre-guard, just to help the windows always never leak. And we're going to pre-paint it all before we put it up, and then we just have to come around and do touch-up paint. So in the meantime, I'm going to break this sheet down into what I think would be 11, 12 pieces. Okay, so the one thing I hate about this saw, I love everything about it except, man, does it discharge some dust. And on a sweaty day, it just sticks to you. Now, this has produced 11 of the 4-inch pieces and then a little bit of a leftover piece, smaller. We know we're going to be needing these smaller pieces above 3 of the windows for sure, so that's fine. This is about half the cost of buying the trim that does this exact same thing, which is why we decided to just cut these down like this ourselves. So we're going to do some measuring and figuring to see if we need more than 11 of these perfect 4-inch pieces. The front window is going to be kind of a little bit different than all the rest of the windows. And then, like I said, the tops on 3 of these are going to be shorter because they come right up against the trim. And progress is just a scooting along on this one. Almost done.
Yeah, just kind of winging it. It's not perfect, but it's just a back porch. Get it done.
And now we've started painting, and it's exceptionally complicated. It's pretty simple. We're painting all the sides so that we get them sealed in the surfaces, and it's absolutely looking like we're going to need 2 coats. Okay, they got the first coat on, and the ladies were having a real hard time getting paint in between. So basically they've asked me to go ahead and go grab the sprayer and spray everything. So basically it's going to get a second coat and a first coat in some of the cracks where it's harder to get to. So we had to get really ingenuitive. We've hung a tarp off of the siding so I don't accidentally spray any siding. I'm going to spray all this thing down, make sure everything's coated, and then we'll be done with spraying and painting the back porch. And just like when I painted the skirting, we're going to just use the portable power sprayer and the battery set up with a cord. Get it done quick that way. So just like last time, I've already thinned the paint down pretty good. And since it's water-based paint, thinned it with water. It'll evaporate super fast out here. Kind of like I said earlier, we knew we didn't have enough paint to paint both porches and that she'd have so much extra of the others. We decided to mix the two. See kind of what we got left here, and it's just a lighter version of what we've been running with anyway. Almost unnoticeable. But let's see if I can get this finished off quick. So it's done to me. Works for me. You're gonna do that with the front porch? Yeah. Now that we've gotten all the cracks, crevices, and everything for this extremely minty green, we'll just let it set up a while before we take this down. We'll get started on the front. Alright, spray part's done. Now we just got to do a little brush work. The porch will be done. We're going to let it dry, put it in place, then finish it off with a brush.
Look good?
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
We only got one more. And then this small one.
And these up here.
And then we do those up there. And then that's second coat. I don't know what your dad's doing with that over there. And we're not supposed to do these on the ground?
He said no.
Well, how come he cut them?
Okay, he said he messed up.
This is what Mom looks like when she paints. And Stephanie.
I'm not as bad as
I guess all of them look that way.
Theirs are worse.
So do you want to do them over here in the sun or do you want to do them up here?
Oh, Caesar does.
So, 2 coats later almost, and we will have everything ready to hang up.
Right now it'll just take it off. So I gotta let it dry just a little bit.
So after they've completed 2 coats of paint on this, we start hanging each piece with silicone, and then all that's going to be left is touch up on those. Okay, it's the next day. We got all of the trim pre-painted, 2 coats roughly. Some of them might need another coat. We got this porch done in what we're just calling minty green leftover paint. And now it's time to go ahead and start installing all this trim around these windows, which we are completely unprepared for. We got things in the way. We have screws that are going to stick out too much in some spots that we're going to pull, and then we're going to put a smaller truss head screw in. And it's just one of those days, and it's already like 90 something degrees at noon. Okay, so the plan is to have one bottom on the sides that come down to the bottom, and then the top overlapping that. So I'm going to try and just pre-attach one, kind of see how the whole thing will turn out looking. Using exterior grade T10 trim screws makes a really small spot to just spackle over and paint. Okay, this is definitely a really rough concept of what we're doing. After a bunch of adjusting and tweaking, seeing what kind of work it's going to take. Looks like it's going to take a pretty good chunk of time per window. But this is the concept of what we're shooting for each window, giving it a nice trimmed look and getting silicone along the top and the sides under it as basically another prevention method for water leakage in the window. So there's kind of been a little bit of trial and error in getting these just right. The concept is great and it works out pretty decently, but I've had a fiddle-faddle around with a couple just to come up with the perfect way to install it. But we've got a pretty good setup now to make this work. So I can mark these. Then I know where to take the silicone to. So the hardest part's been trying to figure out the order of which to put these up in first. And I found I just do one side, then I do the top, then I can just do the opposite side and stick the piece in the middle. Works out pretty decently. Okay, so we know we want that one to sit tight like that right there. Put the one screw in. Then I know I can put a screw up in this one. After I've lined it up where I want it. And what's nice is now I can take these down, put the silicone on, then put them back and they land exactly lined up already. Overall, this concept has been working pretty good. Doing it this way. Like I said, it took us a while to kind of come up with the fastest way to do these. Simplest concept, but this has actually been working doing it this way. So, and then the last step, and one of the things that was concerning me was these gaps, right? And I was like, it just looks weird and ugly. But Betty's coming around and adding painter's caulk at each of the gaps, and then behind that Stephanie and my mom are coming around and dabbing the paint on all the nail spots and then painting over the caulk we're doing for the nail gaps and just doing any last touch-ups on it that's needed. But yeah, I mean, this is working. This is the concept. And it's different, you know, because it's an aluminum sided mobile home, but we like it like they do with normal homes. We really like the way it looks. It just kind of finishes it out a lot better. Caulking a crack. Just putting caulk in a crack.
Making your mouth crack. We're getting all of it.
And then they're coming around after we do the caulk and painting over the paint lines and stuff. Making these bullet holes go away now. Cover them holes up, put some paint on it, help it look even nicer.
For a little cost of nothing.
These windows looking 10 times better on these windows. Kind of finishes out, gives it that home look. Up here on the big one for the front, got it looking pretty different. Nice and cleaned up. And they're working on the holes along here. And then we got these back ones all done. Literally looks so much better. Just working on dabbing up the paint to finish it off now. Okay, it's been a pretty hard, long couple of days work here. And we're in the home stretch. One of the things we want to do to help finish the look of the outside is getting these doors finished with a little bit of brick mold. We know we're going to have to fill this gap back here, which is going to take a little table saw work. But in the meantime, we want to get the front all done and installed. Looks like we're going to have to do a lot more little detail pushing and trimming here. Okay, cleaned off a bunch of the extra expanding foam and added some screws here. So now we can get this first piece up right where it belongs. Then we can get the left side up. Then we'll know how wide to make the top one. It also gives us an idea on the gap in the back, what we're going to do to fill that. I think we're going to have to just rip down some wood and put in there. There we go. Come back in with that final bit of paint and the door is the door and it's done. Okay, it's not bad, but it's not bad. Just needs some paint. If you guys remember when we put this door in, because this wall is not sitting the exact side. If you guys remember when we put this door in, because this side of the wall is not sitting exactly lined up with that side of the wall, we had to figure out how we wanted this door to sit. So one side slightly pushed out and one side slightly pushed in so that the door would sit straight and perfect and close proper. So we're gonna have to take and cut down a filler to go in here on this side. Then we can caulk it and finish it out on both sides. That way we know it won't leak getting into the brick mold. It's been a long, hot 2 days. And now we got beautiful trim around the windows, kind of giving it a more homey feel. Some slightly off green porches. People that worked hard and enjoyed it for the most part. And then Betty's gonna run through tomorrow and paint the billion bullet holes, is what we called it, along this trim. What?
Did you say bullet holes?
They're bullet holes. What? And she's still working on the bullet holes now. That's why she's waiting till tomorrow to go ahead and paint them. But we've got almost all the windows painted. I think this last one back here needs done still.
I just want to say they're not really bullet holes.
They're not really bullet holes. It's just whatever people use to zip this skirting trim in over the years. And when we first got this place, there was like cables galore along here. I don't remember how many we had to pull off of this. And it's like every cable guy, internet guy, and whatever decided to run screws in there to attach the cables. We've been calling them bullet holes. But there you go, as we work on cleaning everything up for the day. It's been a really long, hot, hard-working weekend to get all this done. We think that the trim really helps bring it all together a lot more. Kind of gives it that finished look. Getting these porches done, even if the front porch isn't going to stay and we plan on changing it to a deck later, at least we know that for now it looks decent and not like just some old used porch, even though it was all used material. Got everything, including we finally painted the board over top that AC. We took everybody's advice on that. But it looks pretty good for what it is. It really kind of brings it all into more of a home feel.